My personal view on politicians is I kind of see them like I look at plumbers. I just care about their performance. I really don't care about their personality too much because they're not living in my house. Really don't care. But be that as it may, you still get some feel, some sense of their personality because you're looking at these guys from anywhere from 4 to 8 years or more. You get a sense of whether they seem like a decent human being, or at least they can imitate a human being or not. Trump and Clinton, all policy differences I might have aside, Epstein Island stuff, I'll even put that aside. They look like, or at least they come across as being able to at least relate to humans on some level, or at least make you feel that way. They seem like they would be fun to hang out with. You'd have a beer with, go hang out, with the fellas. Clinton and Trump seem like they know how to have fun. Obama and Bush, not so much. I'd say at the nicest thing I could say is they would be boring to hang out with. Obama doesn't seem like he has personal friends at all because he doesn't seem all that warm and welcoming. And Bush just seems like you're run-of-the-mill, boring human being. So that's my opinion of those two guys. Biden, on the other hand, I could put aside his disastrous policies. I could put that aside. I could put aside even the fact that he outwardly hates half the country, the way he talks about, his opposition. He talks about voters, not just a politician. He shows that he doesn't like his supporters, his opposition supporters. So it's pretty bad. Even setting all that aside, President Biden comes across as a particularly nasty individual. He really, really does. And I think his performance during the wildfires in Maui just really exposes that fact. Let's talk about it. Hello, everyone. This is Keith. Welcome to the Ghetto Sapien channel, your home of inner city intelligence. So 13 days ago, it's been that long, we had a terrible brush fire that happened in the island chain of Maui in Hawaii. And it's probably the worst wildfire case in U.S. history. The press keeps trying to say it's about 114 that are dead and some people are missing. But we're pretty sure it's probably closer to 1,800 people, sum total. The press is trying to just milk this out, and hopefully it just goes into the memory hole and no one really realizes this is way worse than Katrina that they had in the news for a whole entire month when that happened, that disaster. This is probably worse than Katrina. They don't even know, for instance, at least the government doesn't want to say, how many children are missing. Let's check that out.
And things got heated when one resident interjected.
The process slowed down, and also all the names that have been announced so far have been out. Are there children that have been found? Is there any hesitance to announce that? Because that'll obviously just be a different level of heartbreak.
I don't know.
Yes, you do. How many children are missing? You know.
I knew the answer to that. I'd be happy to answer that. You have no estimate as to how many children.
He'd be happy to let you know how many children are missing. Just his choice of words is questionable, at the very least.
Children are missing? I can answer this right now. Sorry.
The biggest question is that the people of Lahaina have. You know what I answer?
It always takes one or two to ruin it for everybody.
Please, this is our personal. It's our only.
Well, we can say that about you.
No-ish. I mean, the guy actually said the mayor of Maui is visibly irritated with citizens, probably citizen journalists. He's irritated with them asking questions and saying he's ruining it for everyone. Children are missing, probably died in their homes, and he's getting defensive. That level of hubris is just unfreaking believable. But that's been the government's response to the Maui disaster forever. I mean, since it started again 13 days ago. How can you not know, or at least have some idea of how many children are missing. It's not like it's a spouse that may wander off out of anger. It's not like some family member that might have a drug habit who just doesn't come home and he ends up in some drug rehab clinic, if you're lucky, or some homeless shelter. Children are pretty much, people know the whereabouts of their children. When they disappear, when they don't show up where they're supposed to be, people immediately file a police report. They go crazy. And so the authorities must have some idea of how many children are missing, because again, they just don't wander off and people just go, I haven't seen my kid in 48 hours. I guess I'll wait another 48 hours before he shows up. This is 13 days. And he doesn't want to say. They know, but he doesn't want to say. The government doesn't trust us with information anymore. And it makes us not trust the government. We don't trust the numbers. And all sorts of conspiracies start flowing to people's heads and passing, passing back and forth on social media. And it's not our fault. It's because, again, the government has broken trust with us so many times that we just don't trust it anymore. They don't deserve our trust. The government screwed up this particular event. First of all, the government has participated in making the environment where this wildfire can actually start. The power company in Hawaii had antiquated power lines. They didn't clear out the brush and the debris underneath the power lines. So when these old power lines actually fell, they started fires. So right there, we had a bad situation that could have been corrected. And then to make things worse, some genius within the government didn't allow the firefighters to use water. They're surrounded by water. It's an island. And they did not allow the firefighters to use water. And even worse, their siren system, their alarm system for the island apparently is only good for tsunamis. And so people are trained that when a tsunami alert goes off, they'll run inland and away from the water. So the government's excuse was we didn't want to use a tsunami alarm because people would run into the fire and away from the water. Because people are that stupid. They would automatically go, it's a tsunami. So, and they'd run into the blazing fire to escape this tsunami that was never going to come. So it was government fuck-ups from top to bottom. The government, excuse me. The other issue is that the equipment that should have been upgraded, the money that the Hawaiian Electric Company should have used to upgrade their equipment and, promote safety and things like that, modernize it, it all went, at least the vast majority of it went to what I'm reading, to green energy instead. So even when you have a corporate entity, you have government interference with how it runs itself, and that causes a disaster. So overregulated utilities, you got government, so you got government failure from top to bottom. And then who steps in? The 50-year embodiment of government failure. Here he is right here.
Well, hello, people of Maui. Shown such absolute incredible courage. That's not hyperbole. I want you to know, on behalf of the United States of America, all the nation, American people stand with you. Governor Josh Green, you've been incredible from the day we've spoken on this. You've been way ahead of the curve. Lieutenant Governor Sylvia Luke, Brian Shantz, our Senator Maisie. By the way, Maisie, I told my granddaughter, whose name is Maisie as well, she said, that's why I like her. Anyway.
Why must he make everything about him? Even that little quip was unnecessary.
But her name is Maisie as well. And Jill Takuda, Representative Ed Chase, and Mayor Rick Bassin. Rick, when we talked on the phone, you look like you played in defensive tackle for, I don't know who, but it was somebody good.
What the hell is he talking about? He's saying the man, he's making some comment about the guy, I guess trying to sound like he's a regular Joe, but he's so detached from humanity. He doesn't know what's appropriate behavior versus inappropriate behavior. To do anything other than just say your speech, and actually should be heartfelt, not some written speech. If you can't do 10 minutes about a disaster that has been in the news for the last 13 days, if you can't reach down into your own humanity to have some empathy for these people, there's something wrong with you. Why does he need a written speech, and he's not even doing that well?
But at any rate, I want to thank you for your leadership and during this unimaginable tragedy. To my left is the banyan tree, beloved by this community for over 150 years. Here in the former capital of the Kingdom of Hawaii, that has stood for generations as a sacred spot of exceptional significance. One of the people who took me under his wing when I first got to the Senate was Danny Inouye. He used to talk about the Kingdom of Hawaii. He came from Japan, but it was amazing to listen to him. Today is burned, but it's still standing. Trees survive for a reason. I believe it's a very powerful symbol of what we can and will do to get through this crisis. And for as long as it takes, we're going to be with you. The whole country will be with you. We will be respectful of the sacred grounds and the traditions that rebuild the way the people of Maui want to build, not the way others want to build.
You mean like Black Rock? Too late. They're in there already, from what I understand.
We're going to rebuild the way the people of Maui want to build. But it's going to be hard. America's deadliest wildfire in over a century. And Jill and I have what's left, walked Front Street, what's left of it. We've surveyed the damage from the air as well. The devastation is overwhelming. To date, 114 dead, hundreds of people unaccounted for. I remember when I got the call, my first wife and daughter, I was a young senator, and I got a call in Washington. I hadn't been sworn in yet. I wasn't old enough. And I was hiring staff.
All right, 3 minutes in, you notice he has now made this speech about himself and the tragedy he went through. So that's what these people need to hear about. More death of children. The man is a sociopath.
In the Capitol, at Teddy Kennedy's office. And I got a phone call saying from my fire department, and a young first responder kind of panicked, "You got to come home. There's been an accident." I said, "What happened?" He said, "Your wife, she's dead. Come home. The tractor trailer had..."
Do people really need to hear that his wife is dead? Seriously, there are people probably in that audience who don't know where their children are. They're expecting to hear words of comfort from their president, not some robotic speech that he's reading off that everyone can tell he doesn't know what he's talking about. He doesn't care about the banyan tree or whatever the F. He's just there making an appearance because his polls are going down. He did not go to East Palestine, Ohio, probably because it's mostly a red area. They voted for Trump. Hawaii and Maui, overwhelmingly Democrat, so he dragged his ass out there because his poll numbers are going down. This was written on his flight there. He didn't read ahead of time. He didn't study it. You could see the people standing around him are like really thinking, what the hell is this guy talking about? Even the wife isn't really paying. She's struggling to pay attention. It's painful for everybody there except Joe, who doesn't know what the F's going on.
Had broadsided her and killed her in a car accident along with my little daughter. And I remember all the way down from Washington home wondering what a lot of people here are wondering. What about my two boys? How are they? They were in the car. I never got a read on that.
And his two boys lived. At least they survived the accident. So that's kind of almost rubbing in the faces of the people whose children are still missing. Again, he has no feelings for his audience. He doesn't know who his audience is. Some of them are probably mourning, and anyone watching this too in Maui who's upset and worried about their lost loved ones. Is this like giving you the warm fuzzies hearing this from this guy? Can't even take his shades off. You can't see his feelings because there ain't none behind it.
Were they going to be all right? They were badly injured. Were they going to make it? Had they made it? Wasn't until I walked into the emergency room that I saw that they were there. The difference between knowing somebody's gone and worrying whether they're available to come back are two different things. You know, and I remember one of the people who helped me the most was Danny Inouye. He helped bring me back, so I know the feeling that is in many of the people in this town, this community, that hollow feeling you have in your chest like you're being sucked into a black hole, wondering, will I ever get by this?
All right, I'm not going to keep this up much longer. He goes on, again, fully for like 9 minutes. Half of it he's talking about what the tragedy he's been through. And another speech he's getting his ass handed to him. He compared the kitchen fire in one of his homes to the disaster in Maui. He's getting ripped for that too. But that's not the only thing he's getting ripped for, because later on that day,
We are a community that relies on family,
he's asleep, by the way. He's nodding.
whether by blood or by friendship. But like many others, my son's home burned down.
There we go. He woke up right there.
Burned down.
So, that is our president, our commander-in-chief. He has feelings for everyone. Yeah. Anyway, it's so obvious this guy doesn't care about other people except for the family members he can exploit and help launder his money. Beyond that, home dude doesn't have the time for you. He may go on to be our next president. He may go on to a second term because Hawaii, a lot of Hawaiians voted for this guy. I'm not going to rub that in their face because they didn't vote for this tragedy. But the press is going to do everything it can to stick this story in a memory hole. You're not going to hear about it being a worse disaster than Katrina until maybe next year sometime, actually release the numbers on some Sunday afternoon just to kind of, again, let you not think about this too much. But that's all I got on this. It's a sad event. It's the people of Maui deserve better leadership than this, regardless of who they voted for. And that's all I got to say on this. Like, share, comment, and subscribe.